Welcome to Job Sharing and Beyond, the Future of Work podcast that goes beyond the traditional 9 to 5. I am Karin Tischler, speaker, consultant, and host of the show, where we hear from global experts every other week to discover innovative solutions and tips on how to remain a relevant employer in the future. Hello, everyone. Today, I will talk about the reasons behind my company and podcast name, what special event finished yesterday, July 2nd, and its implication, and some exciting upcoming news. This special episode is more of a personal nature. As some of you know, the Job Sharing and Beyond podcast is part of the services my company, Emily's Path Consulting, offers. Recently, I've been asked several times why I picked the name Emily. Well, years ago, I came across this article of the Amazonian princess Emily, or would-be aunt of Wonder Woman, as the author calls her. I put the article in the link. I really liked that Emily was a fiercely independent warrior. She ended up having to follow traditional rules and getting married. However, this did not hinder her in the end from continuing to shape her own path. She is seen riding along other male hunters. So the name Emily's Path Consulting symbolizes for me the ability to follow one's own path, however one defines this, and to be unapologetic about doing it. All parents and caregivers are working, whether paid or unpaid. The goal should be that everyone is able to use their full potential and change path as they see best fit. And why did this story resonate so much with me personally? I went from being an international management consultant and department head of a Fortune 500 company to being a stay-at-home mom and homeschooling mom for 11 years. One reason was that back then in the US, there was no flexible work beyond the entry level available. And many years later, when I was back as a researcher, I talked to professionals here in Canada and learned they were still struggling to return to work because of that very lack of flexible positions. And even today, I recently did some LinkedIn job research, and for mid-management level and beyond, basically 60K potential job opportunities shrunk down to 30 if that professional needed to work remotely and was limited to part-time. LinkedIn does not yet offer the possibility of job sharing as a pre-filled option. Altogether, this made me realize that with more flexible work and better understanding of the transferable skills from unpaid care work, we can create a more diverse workforce by enabling returning professionals to utilize their potential. And so Emily's Path Consulting was born to offer services such as speaking engagements and consulting services to companies, as well as this podcast to raise more awareness of these very topics. And now, what does the beyond in the podcast Job Sharing and Beyond mean? It reflects the many ever-evolving aspects of what is important besides job sharing to get to gender equality faster, from my point of view. And so, for example, it includes conversations about other forms of flexible work, such as the 4-day week, 5-hour days, hybrid and remote work, co-working spaces that may include daycare, and more. It also means talking to dad advocates to raise awareness that unpaid care work can be done equally well by anyone, and to get faster to unpaid care work equality than the currently projected at least 92 years by the latest State of the World's Father report. Other topics covered are the transferable business skills from unpaid care work, which also addresses the bigger question of the definition of work, nonlinear careers, and more. And last but certainly not least, best practice examples of support for returning professionals to enable companies to utilize their full potential and for the professionals to be able to have an integrated or balanced work and life. Coincidentally, this special podcast episode is being released just after the finish of the Generation Equality Forum in Paris, which has been a major global event for gender equality. Since the milestone Beijing conference in 1995, no country has reached gender equality. The big announcement at the forum event was the investment of $40 billion to get faster to gender equality. And that was so great to hear, as lack of funding has been a main reason why gender equality has not been reached. I was also very appreciative to learn that there will be a special global alliance for care. The quote from Nadine Gassman, president of the National Institute of Women on behalf of the Mexican government, is that care work has always been very high on the feminist agenda, but the COVID experience has made it very real for men and women. The blogger and author Tristan Champion talked how male involvement in unpaid care work will make a real change, which I so believe in. Gary Barker, CEO of Promundo, shared research and call to actions to move towards an equal share of men in unpaid care work from the State of the World's Father report, which his company recently published. I will put the articles to the announcements in the show notes. And now to give you a sneak preview what is coming up. My next episodes include guests from 3 different continents talking about dads and care, Gen Z, and various aspects of new work. Also, I am super excited to start my LinkedIn Live conversations next week with my inaugural podcast guests, Irenka Krone and Nina Prochaska, on Thursday, July 8th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I really look forward to talking to past and future podcast guests on LinkedIn Live. I'm also planning additional conversations, so stay tuned. If this episode and the podcast in general has provided value to you, please consider supporting it. I have recently started a Ko-fi and a Buy Me a Coffee page that I will put in the show notes. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We hope you gained valuable insights and new ideas. To keep listening to future episodes, please head over to iTunes or your favorite player and subscribe and give it a rating. We would very much appreciate a review and for you to share it on social media, so more people can start innovating in how they offer employment. Until the next time, goodbye!